Hi guys, this is John Block of Band America, and today we're just making a quick video to go over what happened this week, especially relating to Ilhan Omar and some crazy anti-Semitism that she has been spewing, especially towards the 9/11 attacks that happened in 2001. So here we see the Congresswoman. She said some pretty crazy statements. Remember, she said that it's some people did something, right? And so Nancy Pelosi came to her aid in a recent interview, and this is what she said.
I don't think that the Congresswoman is anti-Semitic. I wouldn't even put those in the same category. I think,
but she's being accused of it.
Well, she's being accused of it, but I criticize the president for using a video of 9/11 as a political tool.
And this week, the New York Times as well came to her defense, saying that it's surely not an accident that these two principal targets are both women of color, and that's referring to Ilhan Omar and Alexandra Cortez. And they said, there's a sense in which supposed concerns about extremism are just a cover for sexism and white nationalism. So you really see what we're up against here. And it doesn't help that Louis Farrakhan, the evil anti-Semite, released this video today, saying, it's okay, we love Omar.
Now you got my sisters in there. 102 women in Congress. Boy, am I happy. And one of them said that she was using some funny language, brother. But Miss Omar from Somalia, she started talking about the Benjamins. And they trying to make her apologize. I said, sweetheart, don't do that. Oh, pardon me for calling you sweetheart, but you do have a sweetheart. Because you sure using it to shake the government up. But you have nothing to apologize for. Israel and AIPAC pays off senators and congressmen to do their bidding. So you're not lying. So if you're not lying, stop laying down.
In another insane racially charged op-ed in the New York Times, we saw Jamel Bowie, a black person, going after white people for simply being white, saying it's racist to call Ilhan Omar anti-Semitic. She said, if Omar is a target, it has little to do with what she said and everything to do with who she is, a black Muslim woman and an immigrant, whose very person disrupts an exclusionary ideal of a white Christian America. Now what a load of horse crap this is. Are we kidding? Are we actually kidding? So everyone is racist if they call out Ilhan Omar, because that's not okay. You know, it's super racist to call people out on their BS and their anti-Semitism, but where does the line, where is it crossed? Where is the line drawn? And actually, I was very surprised to see in the New York Times another op-ed written by someone who was fairly critical of Omar, saying, well, if we put the same, some people did something to something else, then that would be considered not okay, right? If President Trump said that, it wouldn't be okay. And I actually think that it's important that we make that point, because yeah, it's the New York Times, they have all kinds of crazy people, but at least some of them are willing to say, yeah, these are super anti-Semitic, these are not okay comments, and I'm glad that this person wrote this article saying, okay, let's just stop now, this is not good, this is not okay. So, there we go. And this week we also saw Pete Buttigieg, who is running for President of the United States, and in a Jerusalem Post article here, they're calling him out for using anti-Semitic comments as well, using the term Pharisee to describe President Trump and describe Vice President Pence. And he says he's using it in a colloquial term, meaning he's using it as, you know, saying, well, it's a hypocrisy that Mike Pence has his Christian faith and yet he doesn't believe in gay marriage.
The vice president, for example, who has maybe a different understanding of Christianity than I do, one that's largely about sexuality. Right, and the Bible is full of, it talks about this. It talks about hypocrites. It talks about Pharisees. It talks, frankly, political officials and priests don't come off that well in the new text of the New Testament.
And also in the Washington Post this week, we saw Pete Buttigieg use the term Pharisee to describe Mike Pence. And what he said was, there's an awful lot of Pharisees in there, referring to the Bible and referring to the vice president's comments on gay people. But actually, we see that the Jewish community is coming out and saying it's not okay to use the term Pharisee because it is a racial term and it's actually pretty anti-Semitic. And a rabbi named Dana Rutenberg, she said that, or he said, I'm not sure, they said that comparing it to a kid on a playground with the term gay. You know, if you're like, oh, that kid's gay, you know, it's a slur. And we don't want to use this term as a slur because it could connotate bad things relating to the Jewish community. So I see where they're coming from, but, you know, anti-Semitism at all should not be tolerated. And in St. Mary's University in San Antonio, another professor said, so many textbooks trace Rabbi Judaism to Pharisee. They trace that to Pharisee. And using that language as a negative slur today, when I think so many people have this stereotype, an association of people who have unconsciously between that of Jews, certainly doesn't help the modern stereotypes around Jews and money and control and secret power. So, you know, this is just an off-color comment, but the campaign has reached out and they have said they're sorry and they won't use it again. They said, we appreciate the people who've reached out to educate us on this. We intend to highlight political hypocrisy. We listened and learned and won't be using it going forward. So one thing we can learn, you know, I'm not a Mayor Pete fan whatsoever. I'm a President Trump supporter. However, when he is getting these comments about him using anti-Jew language, he's amending his speech. What we can learn from this situation is that Mayor Pete, he actually learned from what his comments meant. He heard the people who were saying, this is terrible, and the backlash was from the Jerusalem Post and the Daily Mail and some rabbis. It wasn't with a giant picture on the front of the New York Post calling her out. You know, Omar was called out by everyone. Everyone. Jews, Christians, Democrats, Republicans on this issue. Everyone. But she refused to say sorry. She refused to say sorry. And then Nancy Pelosi comes to her aid, and then she says, oh, well, she uses different words. She has a different way of using words, even though she's been in the country 20 years. And then, you know, we need to start acting like this with a little more grace and start using conciliatory remarks to say sorry when we say something bad, especially if it's anti-Semitic like these comments were. And it's smart of his campaign to do that, you know? I feel like this might actually help him. But you see that Omar, she doesn't care. She's in a far left sector of her party. She doesn't have anything to lose because she's safe in her district. It's a very highly Somalian area, so she has the support of her base who's in her area. And we need to see that these comments stop. But the only way to get them to stop is by making formal action. So we need to call on Nancy Pelosi to have her censured, or at least publicly condemned with her name on it. You know, Nancy Pelosi and the Democrat Congress, they passed that resolution condemning anti-Semitism. Well, that doesn't help at all. If at the end of the day, she's continuing to use this anti-Semitic jargon, and it's not even calling her out by name. So we need to, this week, reflect, especially because it's Holy Week. Christians, Jews, everyone need to come together and remember why we're fighting this fight. Why is it that America is still standing? And I would argue it's because of Judeo-Christian values that we've held for hundreds of years, and will continue to hold for hundreds of years, despite the political chaos that happens. And because we are prayerful, godly people in America, we have something that many countries don't. We have a unified nation which has unified values, because our entire value system is based on Judeo-Christian values. Am I right? Well, then I would say it's very important, especially this weekend, to reflect on who we are as Americans and just remember what unites us as a country. What unites us as a country? John F. Kennedy, when he ran for president, everyone was giving him a hard time because he'd be the first Catholic president. Well, we see the same things happening today. We see people getting angered by little comments. We also see people using these anti-Semitic comments to spew hatred and bigotry towards people and use it as a jab. And I don't think someone's religion should ever be used against them as a jab. I will call out anti-Semitism, whether it be Mayor Pete, who's an Episcopal, and whether it be Ilhan Omar, who's a Muslim. You know, it's important that we all unified stand together and call out these radical people. And I think together, if we do that as a nation, we can make it work and we can get back on track. Because these past 2 years have been great. President Trump has helped our economy. He's moved the Israeli embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. He has done so much for our country, so much for unity between Jews and people across the nation. And it's our responsibility to continue this fight and continue his work here in our communities as well as nationally. So let's all stand together behind President Trump, behind President Pence, and behind Semites who are across this world, and make sure that Jews know that we support them. We support them wholeheartedly, and we will come to their defense when radical Islamic extremists come and say these things about them, especially when it comes to people who are radical like Omar, who use their speech to inflict hatred and pain on people who are still trying to recover from horrible incidents in their lives. Well, thank you for watching, and have a great weekend, and happy Easter to everyone. Bye-bye.